So I was going through my old videos trying to come up with some new video ideas, and I realized I haven't made a what's in my camera bag video since like 2018. The reason I didn't make one sooner is because I mostly have all the same gear that I did before, but it's been long enough that quite a bit has changed in my camera bag. Also, I will try to have links to all this equipment in the description. By the way, I am not sponsored by any of the gear that I'm showing you in this video, but I do get a small kickback if you buy this gear using the links in the description. That being said, let's get into it. So let's start with the bag. This is the Lowepro Protactic BP450, I think it's called. And this camera bag is a beast. Let me hold it up for you. It's bigger than my torso, and I'm a fairly tall person. I'm about 6'1", so this bag compared to me is still huge. It's very heavy right now because it has all my equipment inside it. Now if you're just starting out photography and you only have, like one body and one lens, and that's pretty much your whole setup, you're probably wishing you had some more expensive equipment, but let me tell you, just enjoy the fact that you can fit basically all of your camera equipment inside like a purse or your school bag or something like that. So I'll go over the bag first. So this camera bag is a beast. It's huge. It fits a ton of stuff. Super versatile. It's one of the best camera gear purchases I've made in a while. The whole back of the bag is covered in these like little loops, and the bag comes with equipment so that you can loop things in here and connect things to the bag and just have them strapped everywhere. For example, on this side I've got a water bottle holder, little water bottle pouch, which is super handy for shoots. I always bring a water bottle when I go and shoot, but this is great because it's completely modular, and if I don't want it, it comes right off. Now on the other side here I have my travel tripod, which I'll talk about in a second, but it is also strapped in here, and it is completely removable. So if you just want to take the tripod off, you just undo the clip. And there you go, there's the tripod. The head is not on here, so it folds up nice and small. The head is inside the bag. And then there's just these two little straps here that unhook. So if you don't want all that bulky equipment, now the bag is completely smooth all around. This bag's also nice because it has one main compartment, but it can also open up from several different areas. So if you just want your camera, you can just open this up, just reach inside, grab your camera. On the bottom of the bag, there's another handle to hold on to, but there's also a pouch for the waterproof cover that comes with this bag. Now this bag opens from the back of the bag, which is nice because it means when the camera bag is up against your back, so is the zipper, and it makes it much more difficult for someone to try and steal something out of your bag while you're wearing it. So before we go into the bag, we got the tripod. This is going to be a long video, by the way, just letting you know. So this is my travel tripod. I love it because it's really small, but it extends up to about 6 feet. First thing we have is a few pouches here. I don't really use these for anything in particular, except for this big one, which holds my 2017 15-inch MacBook Pro. This is the base model 15-inch. Even though it's 3 years old, it still holds up. I can still do all my photo and video editing on here if I need to. It's also got a nice deburring skin on here. Now, a major problem I have with this type of video is I still only have one camera body, which means I can't show it to you. Like, I can't fill my bag entirely because this camera, this lens, and my mic are all being used to film this video. So first, one of my favorite lenses ever, the Canon 50mm f1.8. This was the first lens I got other than my kit lens, and I still love it. It's Canon's cheapest lens, but it is so nice for portraits. If you're just starting off photography and you're thinking about getting a second lens to sort of shake things up, this is a great lens to go with because it's cheap and it will last you a while. I still use this lens on paid shoots, even though it's like 10 times cheaper than most of my lenses. Next, I have my 100mm macro lens, f2.8. So this is the non-L version. You can see there's no red ring around it. Here's the lens hood. It's freaking huge. So believe it or not, this 100mm prime is actually really versatile. I got it mostly for product shots and close-ups. It's super handy for filming B-roll for the YouTube channel. But because it's 100mm and it's f2.8, it also makes for a great portrait lens, and I've taken some really nice portraits with this lens because it has such nice compression and just makes these beautiful blurry backgrounds. I love this lens. Next up, my first L lens. This is the Canon 24 to 105 f4 lens. Now this is a pretty old lens. It was originally released in like 2008 or something like that. So it's been around. So this is my go-to lens if I need something really versatile, something that can do a little bit of everything. It's got 24 millimeters, so it can do some nice wide shots. It's got 105 mil, so it can zoom in, get some close-ups. It's great for events, and it's also good for videos because that image stabilization is good for handheld shots. It is pretty old though, and I don't know if you can hear that. It's got a lot of play to it. In the near future, I might try and sell this and get a 24 to 70 f2.8 lens. I think that would help step up my photo game. All right, next, I've got this handy little pouch. You can never have too many SD cards, and that is what this is filled with. It's actually looking a little bit empty right now, but there's a few in here. I have a little pouch here. It's supposed to be for CF cards, but I wrote full there. So if I'm doing a shoot, and I haven't been able to import my cards yet, but I have to switch cards, I put the full cards in here that haven't been imported yet, and that way I know not to format those cards. It also has a little belt loop, so sometimes if I'm shooting at a fancy event where I am wearing a belt, and I know I'm going to be switching out cards, then I will actually just put this on my belt. Looks a little goofy, but it gets the job done. Next is something I almost never use. If you've never seen one of these before, that's okay, because it's pretty much useless with digital photography. This is a light meter, and you have one of these built into your camera, but it basically measures the light reading in the room and tells you what you should set your exposure to be in order to have a proper exposure, which is really helpful if you're shooting film, and that's about it. Because with digital, you can just take multiple shots over and over again and look at them, and you can see with your eyes if it's overexposed. You can check your histogram. It's just so much easier than trying to pull out one of these and spend 5 minutes getting a light reading of the room. And I got my camera battery charger. I always keep this with me, even though I try to keep all my batteries charged when I'm going around. It's never hurts to have this with you. Here's that tripod head I was telling you about. Yeah, it's just your standard fluid head photo tripod. Can go 90 degrees for portrait shots, which is nice. And that just screws right on top of the tripod. Next, there's this little pouch here. There's not really anything in here right now because it's over there already. This came with the Low Pro bag, and it's just a little pouch for carrying around the accessories. Something cool about this little bag is it also has a little strap on the back, which means if I wanted to, I could strap this on the outside of the bag. Save me some room. Then right here I have an ND filter, which I keep in the box it came in. I should probably get a proper little pouch for this. This is my variable ND filter. I've talked about it before. Basically like sunglasses for your camera. Lets you darken your photo without changing your exposure settings, which is really nice. Then to go with the ND filter, I have these stepping rings. So instead of getting an ND filter for each of your lenses, because all the lenses have different sizes, you get the ND filter to fit your biggest lens, and then you get these little stepping rings that will step down to each different size of lens you have. And these things are like $5 instead of, like $100 to $200 for each ND filter. So this will save you a lot of money. Don't buy an ND filter for every lens you have. Alright, then behind this little Velcro pouch, I have a few MISC items. This is a diffusion thingy for, yeah, that's the technical term, diffusion thingy, by the way. This goes on top of my speed lights to make the light softer and more flattering on the face. Then I got this little guy. Never know when you might need to clean off your lens. Microfiber cloth for the same reason. And of course, gaffer's tape or gaff tape. It's so handy. This is just, yeah. You can never go wrong with some of this stuff. Moving on, I have two Canon, what are these called? Canon Speedlight 340 EX3RT. That is a mouthful. So I've got two of these guys. They can wirelessly communicate with each other, which is nice. Again, I mostly use them for events, and that's pretty much it. And the last thing in my bag is this pouch, which I'm gonna go through with you. Before I had a pouch like this, all of my cables and accessories were just all over the place. If you're just used to like chucking cables in your bag just by themselves loose, again, I'll try and link it in the description, but this is such a great way to organize all your random little stuff you have to take with you. So I have this side pretty empty, but there's these little loops here to put things in, like cables. As you can see, I have a cable right here. I could fill all these up if I wanted to. Then coming over here, I've got a camera battery, my hyperdrive dongle for my MacBook. In this little pouch right here, I keep an extra long cable that plugs my mic into my camera, but I'm using it right now. And that allows me to get my microphone much farther away from my camera than it could normally go, which improves my audio quality, as you can see. Then in this little pouch right here, I keep some MacBook accessories. I've got my little mini 1TB SSD and a USB-C to Ethernet adapter for my MacBook in case I need to hardwire into something. I don't use this one very often. The MacBooks with USB-C came out, everyone complained about how they were going to need a million dongles and it was going to be the end of the world because you need to plug in 5 things every time you want to do something on your computer. I've had this one dongle and then a couple accessories like that little SSD that are already USB-C, and I've never had any problems. This is the only dongle I've ever bought other than this Ethernet one, and that one I barely use. This has 2 USB 3, a micro SD card, an SD card, 2 USB-C plugs, and an HDMI. I've never really needed anything other than that. Now, flipping over to this side, it's a little bit messy, but I have my power brick and cable for my MacBook Pro, and 2 more camera batteries sitting right here. So in total, including the one in the camera, I have 4 of those Canon camera batteries, and they last a really long time, so I've never really had an issue with running out of batteries. But that's everything inside that little pouch. Super handy to just hold everything, and it's just nice having everything not be a mess all the time. All right, and then here's what the camera bag looks like when it's empty. Straps are in the way, but you get the idea. And all these little Velcro things, you can reorganize them, move them around, and lay out the bag in a way that works for you. So that's really nice. You can just unzip this top part and reach right in here and grab my camera so that I don't have to open up my entire bag if I just want one thing. So that is everything in my camera bag. Now let's talk about the things that I bring to every shoot that weren't in the camera bag because I'm using them right now. First is my Rode VideoMic Pro Plus, which is right here. You can kind of see it. This is a shotgun mic that's meant to go on top of your camera, but with an extension cable, you can bring it much closer to your face. Which is nice because the closer the mic is to your face, the higher the audio quality. If my mic was way back here, then my audio wouldn't sound very good because the mic's farther away. This is kind of simulating what it would sound like if the mic was on the camera. But instead I can have the mic right in front of my face, which is really nice. Next is the lens I'm using. This is the Canon 16-35 f4L lens with image stabilization. So this lens is also great for video because it has that built-in image stabilization. This is my most recent lens purchase. I got this to kind of fill that wide angle void because up until this lens, the widest I could go was on my 24-105 at 24 millimeters, which isn't really that wide. So this lens has allowed me to get some really nice wide landscape shots, and it is also great for YouTube because I can have it wide like this. I can go even wider. This is as wide as it goes at 16 millimeters, which is great for vlogging because if I just hold my camera like this, then you can still get this wide angle and it's not just zoomed in on my face. You can also see my softbox up here now. And then it goes all the way to 35, which is actually a fairly tight angle. So if I wanted a close-up shot of my face, I could still use this lens. My favorite thing to do is to put this lens at 35 millimeters with image stabilization on my glide cam because that makes for some really cinematic footage. And then of course, last but not least, the camera body, which is still the Canon 60 Mark II. That hasn't changed in a while. I've had this camera for over 2 years now actually. I got it in 2018. And I love this camera. It can't do 4K. It's not like, it doesn't have a ton of little bells and whistles, but it has some really nice colors. It has amazing battery life. And it does actually shoot pretty nice video even though it's just 1080p. I'm a big fan of it. I'm kind of torn between upgrading to like the R5 or the R6, like a new mirrorless camera, and just clinging onto the 60 as long as I can. Because on one hand, I want to buy better lenses, so if I stick with the same camera body, I can buy nicer lenses and spend money on that. But on the other hand, the EOS R5 looks really cool. If you guys want to see a video talking about my next gear purchases and what I'm planning on getting for my gear, let me know. Because I feel like that would be an interesting video, like walking you through how I decide what to buy next for my equipment. Because even though this looks like a lot of equipment, this has been acquired over years, and every time I buy something, I make the decision on how versatile this thing is going to be, and how frequently I'm actually going to use it, and does it allow me to do something that I couldn't do before? Because if it's doing the same thing as a piece of equipment I already have, then I don't want to waste that money. I'm always thinking about these things when looking into buying new gear. So if you want to hear me talk about the gear that I'm going to buy or that I'm planning on buying next, let me know because I feel like that would make a good video. Anyways, that is all of my equipment. I know this has been a long video, so if you stayed to the end, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, let me know in the description. Let me know what camera you shoot on. I would love to know. Let me know your favorite lens, that kind of thing. Also, all of this gear is linked in the description. Also linked in the description is my affiliate link for Artlist. Artlist is the music licensing website that I use for all my YouTube videos and all my commercial projects. You just pay one yearly fee and you get access to this entire library of awesome music that you can use on any project whatsoever, commercial, personal, doesn't matter. If you want to learn more about Artlist, you can watch my video here. And if you sign up with my link, you get an additional 2 free months on top of your 1-year subscription. If you're a big fan of my channel and you want to support me, then buying Artlist through this link would be a great way to do that. Because not only are you getting access to some awesome music, but you're also supporting me, which allows me to do this more and allows me to get better equipment and improve my videos overall. So if that interests you, link in description. Alright, I'm going to end the video here. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one.